Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. It's if you need life, business, relationship coaching, go over there, or you can stay here on the pro wrestling side of things, Pro Wrestling Logic, with the Impact review for the 23rd of March, 2021. Still a better show than anything WWE puts out consistently. Even though there's stuff on here I don't like, at least their stories tend to move forward. Tasha Steelz defeats Alicia on the Before the Impact pre-show program. We open the actual show with Kenny Omega and Don Callis arriving at the arena. Opening video basically acknowledges the Good Brothers challenging Finn Juice for the tag titles. To be told they have to wait for April for the new champion's return. Also, the main event with Sami Callihan defeating Trey Miguel from last week, and Don Callis' promo on Rich Swann, also from last week, opens the show. Deonna Purrazzo with Susan defeats Jazz with Jordana Grace in a non-title match. Jazz and Purrazzo have been on opposite sides for a while. Purrazzo works over Jazz's head for the majority of the match. She usually works over the arm, so this is different in strategy. Match itself sees Jazz get early offense. Purrazzo catches her with a drop toe hold into Susan's hands, and then Purrazzo gets some heat for a minute. Jazz makes a comeback, nails a jawbreaker. Jazz gets a near fall after an X Factor. Purrazzo is too close to the ropes. Susan takes out Grace and distracts Jazz, allowing Purrazzo to roll her up and get the win after Susan gets a shoe strike on Jazz. I don't know. This felt flat. I think Jazz is good and legendary. I don't necessarily think she needs to be in this position in this promotion. Good Brothers are hanging out with some staff, and they're whining and complaining about losing the titles. They mention being hungover. Eddie Edwards confronts them, tells them that they're not part of the boys and didn't belong in the dressing room. Decays in the hallway and makes fun of Anderson Gallows because they lost the titles. Weird commercial for Swingers Palace. This angle's kind of played out. Anyway, backstage, Rahet Raju stumbles upon Fallah Bahh, and he's been sleeping in the arena because he lost his money. At least that's the story here. Raju tells him he's embarrassed, and Fallah Bahh challenges him to a match. D'Lo Brown and Matt Striker, who still are, well, actually, they've moved to second best commentary team, in my opinion. Tony Schiavone and Paul Wright are the best, just in terms of not annoying the heck out of me on a national scale at this point. TJP defeating the X Division champion Ace Austin with Madman Fulton by DQ. Austin obviously retains the title because of the DQ. Good match, although it was way too short. It was almost kind of a part two to the sacrifice match they had a little while ago. And good Clash of Styles, TJP with the more aerial moves, or TJP with the more mat style, and Ace Austin with the more aerial moves. TJP has been certainly more aggressive than he's been in the last little while. Match is back and forth throughout. For the opening stages, TJP goes for a superplex. Austin reverses it into a front suplex and then cuts him off. TJP, Austin's in control for a good bit. TJP keeps having mini comebacks, and TJP locks in the octopus stretch hold and gets a near fall out of the submission by rolling his opponent onto his back and shoulders. Basically, Austin lands a bunch of combos. TJP manages to counter the fold into a kick and the Mamba Splash. Fulton breaks it up and gives TJP the win by DQ. Match is good, and there's more to be had here. Post-match, Fulton attacks TJP. Josh Alexander makes the save and runs off the heels. Not a fan of Josh Alexander, but you got to do something with him because he's on your roster. Gia Miller interviews Matt Cardona about being an Impact. Cardona said this is the best opportunity for an actual wrestler. Miller asks how he's working on staying on top of social media. Cardona said that it's a lot of work and it's important to realize we're not always on top, but we have to keep on going. Miller asks him about Brian Myers. Cardona says it's a coincidence they're both here. He wasn't following him, trying to make something of himself. He tells Myers, put up or shut up. This kind of falls flat. Trey Miguel throws a fit when confronted by Triple XL. Tommy Dreamer tells them to basically get lost. Miguel wants Romano tonight, but Dreamer's trying to calm him down. They said save the match for Hardcore Justice. What a horrible name. Dreamer cuts a promo about how he's been there and he's been impatient and yada yada. Yeah, this is flat. Rahat Raju defeats Falaba. Super short match. Clash of styles. Speed versus power. Raju's fallen quite a bit since the X Division title lost a while back. Then Ba gets a kind of a comeback. Rahat takes him out with a jumping knee and gets out of the way of the bonsai drop, rolls him up for the win. Not a good deal. Miller tries to interview Omega and Callis, but they told her they're on the way to the ring. She can find out what they're going to say there. AEW commercial. Omega and Callis are there. Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone promote Omega and Sydal. Omega said there's no chance for Sydal to win tomorrow. Omega and Callis walk out, leaving Khan and Schiavone to run down the rest of Dynamite. Over in Omega's locker room, Anderson and Gallows knock, but since there's no answer, Gallows thought maybe they were in there and not wanting to answer. Anyway, Kenny Omega and Don Callis come out to the ring. Omega throws in a rant about Impact staff. Callis tells him he could fire anyone he wanted. This doesn't... Yeah, no. Callis cuts promo, bringing back the idea that Swan is enjoyable, great, and a good champion, but he won't be able to get past the one-winged angel on his head. No one's ever kicked out of Omega, and that move, he said he's bigger than Ibushi. After Callis had listed a couple of names of people. Problem is, who on Impact, that's watched by maybe 200,000 people at most, knows who Ibushi is? And, bigger question, who cares? Omega is better. And Callis said that he's willing to dry out every wrestler in the promotion to benefit Omega. That's stupid. Callis shows a teaser for a one-winged angle compilation he made for Omega. They end the promo telling Swan that he's only a footnote in history. Omega and told Impact that this was the biggest night of the years. And then once he wins the Impact title, everyone in the promotion will know they had no one good enough to challenge Omega. Promo by Violent by Design. This show is really promo heavy, and they don't have enough promos to carry it. Eric Young talks about how Rhino is not a monster he had to create, but he only helped him wake up to become the monster he already was and was always meant to be. Rhino gets anointed to enter the stable. Miller interviews Havoc and Nevaeh about their win, said that they were extra motivated to go after the titles, but Hogan and Steels interrupt them, also interrupt them and remind them that they actually haven't won by themselves. Dashwood tried to recruit Nevaeh to team with her. That makes Havoc jealous. Then we go to Trey Miguel defeating AC Romero with Larry D. I don't know. Power moves by Romero. Miguel escapes, drops him with a neck breaker. Near fall with the springboard cutter, which is becoming one of the most overused moves in wrestling. He gets pounced by Romero. Miguel wins with a meteor after recovering from the pounce. It was fine. Nothing to write home about. Miller asks Rich Swann about Omega and Callis promo. He said all their talk wasn't getting in his head that easy. Nor would a video of the Omega Wrestling Alliance. Swann's fighting spirit wouldn't be killed. He accepted. Omega put him down at Hard to Kill. But the Good Brothers and Sabin and Moose, he always had the upper hand on Omega, and he wouldn't be able to even hit at Rebellion. I don't know. Swann is looking minor league compared to Omega, and I don't even like Omega, but this blended talent thing where the star of Dynamite that's constantly growing versus this lesser brand, I don't think is going to pay off in the long run. Miller interviews James Storm and Chris Sabin about Storm's 1000th match in Impact. That's nuts. And how he'd celebrate. Storm said he'd drink beer and said he wanted to address Violent by Design and challenged Eric Young to a match. D'Amore approached and proposed Storm versus Young next week in main event to celebrate the 1000th match. Can't believe having 1,000 matches in a single promotion. That's just crazy. Brown and Stryker announced next week's card, including Storm and Young, Fire and Flame versus Havoc and Nevaeh, Austin and Fulton versus TJP and Alexander, and Omega will be in the Impact Zone again next week. Main event time, Carl Anderson with Doc Gallows defeating Eddie Edwards. Match, they really didn't have to build up. Match starts with some chain wrestling. Edwards getting the upper hand there. Edwards is being underutilized, but he's also been with the promotion long enough to where it's hard to find something really good to do with him. Hits a dive early on, taking out Anderson and Gallows. Edwards goes for a top rope drop kick, gets cut off by Anderson. Gallows distracts him, and Anderson gains control of the match. Anderson works over Edwards and does a bunch of headlocks. 5 minutes left in the match, and Edwards makes a comeback and gets a near fall. Backpack stunner, Blue Thunder bomb for another finish. Sees Edwards block a gun stun and go for O'Connor roll, only to get kicked into the ropes. Gallows meets Edwards with a chair, sends him into a spine buster by Anderson for the win. Okay match. Finjuice cuts a promo via video screen telling Good Brothers that they have been winning the last week, and they know Good Brothers like to have their bags carried around, which should be easier now with 20 pounds less. It wasn't. I mean, that was a poor way to end the show, but is what it is. We'll be back tomorrow with NXT and Dynamite and all that good stuff along the way.